So has political tribalism compromised the independence of our judiciary? Is the Supreme Court in danger of becoming a second legislative branch? Is the American judicial system even equipped to deal with the unique moral challenges facing the 21st century world? Let's bring in our panel, Alan Dershowitz. He's the Harvard lawyer emeritus, who has obviously argued many cases before the Supreme Court. He's also the author of the book Guilt by Accusation. John Malcolm is the vice president of the Institute for Constitutional Government at the Heritage Foundation. Good afternoon to you both. Professor Dershowitz, I'll start with you. Were the hearings a missed opportunity for us to talk about some of these core foundational challenges facing America, from First Amendment rights to Fourth Amendment rights, data, privacy, all of the above?
Yes, but I think it was largely the fault of the Republicans for stealing a Supreme Court nomination from President Obama. When President Obama, 8 months before the election, nominated Merrick Garland, who was at least as qualified as Justice Barrett, and the nomination was stolen from them. They didn't even have hearings. There was no opportunity even to question him about his judicial philosophy. And the Democrats tried to get even by asking questions that were not really related to her competence. They just didn't think that her nomination should go forward just days before. So I think the process was distorted by what the Republicans did 4 years ago. And when some Republicans said, look, quote my words back to me, we will never allow a nomination to go in front of the Senate if it's within the year of an election. That kind of double standard was taken advantage of by the Democrats. I also thought that the Democrats messed it up when they questioned the previous nominee to the Supreme Court about alleged matters that happened when he was a teenager. So the whole process has become politicized, and we, the American people, are the losers.
Well, John, I'd love to get your response to that as far as, again, where does the culpability lie here? And are the interests of the American people getting lost in the mix?
Well, I agree that it was a missed opportunity. I don't agree with the reason for that. I have a different view than Alan does about what happened to Merrick Garland, although you're never going to hear me say a bad word about Merrick Garland as a person or as a judge. I think it is, now that the Supreme Court is considering more matters that I believe should be, and the framers would have left to the democratic process, they are being viewed, unfortunately, as another political branch. These justices were given life tenure in order to insulate them from this sort of activity. The separation of powers exists for good and sufficient reasons, and the questions certainly, they were about Obamacare, and they were about whether you were pro-choice or pro-life, and not how you would approach the very important task of judging. Is the court at risk of being politicized? Yes, it certainly is, by inquiries such as that, and certainly by the threats to do things like pack the court.
Absolutely. Well, Alan, to your point, quickly here, obviously, is John right here? Are politicians effectively attempting to turn the court into what Justice Alito famously referred to as a super legislature?
Yeah, but he's part of the problem, not part of the solution. He's done it himself. Now we're going to see the opposite happen. We're going to see liberals calling for judicial restraint, and we're going to see conservatives saying we want an activist Supreme Court. We want the Supreme Court to strike down affordable care. We want the Supreme Court to strike down if there were to be national legislation in favor of a woman's right to choose. They would try to strike it down. So we're going to see exactly the opposite of what we've seen. We're going to see conservatives trying to turn the Supreme Court into a super legislature, and liberals trying to impose judicial restraint. Look, there's no end of hypocrisy in Washington, and look forward to many, many years of hypocrisy now on both sides as the Supreme Court becomes not a check and balance on the popularly elected branches of government, but one of the political branches of the government.
Absolutely. Well, I think, how do we get back on track here? John, I'll come to you quickly. We got about 30 seconds, and we'll have you come back after the break. But, even Andrew Jackson, who famously defied the Supreme Court, still at the same time understood intuitively it was the role of the courts to be independent. How do we restore balance here at a time when we need the Supreme Court and our judiciary to be more independent and more fiercely present than ever before?
By, I think, having the justices hold up to the standards of, Lady Justice by wearing a blindfold and evenly balanced scales, and by deciding what is constitutional and what is faithful to the text of statutes, and not whether something is favored by Democrats or Republicans or by a majority of people or not. There are provisions in the Constitution that are anti-majoritarian and for good reasons.